everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents, or Conversations LA as we're calling it. I am so excited to be sitting down with Stacy Ike today. We're going to talk to Stacy not only about her journey in front of the camera, but what it's been like for her to feed her own love of life and to share that with all of you, so stay tuned.
It's time to shine, time to shine, so shine on. Ooh, shine on. It's time to shine. It's time to shine. Now's the moment you were created for. Can you feel it's right? Come on, let's go. You're in control. So tell me what you want.
And we're back with Cyrus Webb Presents, and I'm here today with Stacy Ike. You know her, of course, because of her work as a TV personality. She's someone who's been able to inspire us online, but also in living her best life, she's been able to encourage people literally around the world. We'll talk to Stacy not only about the journey, but also what it's been like for her to fight for her own fairy tale, and why that's so important for her to encourage others. Stacy, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, look, I was so excited this time around when I was coming to Los Angeles that this worked out, that we could sit down. First of all, Stacy, I want to thank you for what you've been able to do, and not only, of course, showing people what's possible, but also encouraging other people. That's a big part of your platform. What has it been like for you to know that you not only are finding success for yourself, but encouraging other people to do the same thing?
I mean, I guess I don't think about it as often as maybe I should, because you don't want to first let it get to your head, and you don't want to get distracted, because the point is the journey and being transparent and making sure that I'm being as honest as I can, as well as also figuring that out in my own life. And so I'm still learning the balance, but I think I'm so blessed to have a platform that does do something in that way, and I appreciate your kind words. And just to stay excited is the biggest thing I've been trying to learn and trying to push. And so to have a platform where I get to talk about that and help other people implement that in their own lives, I mean, it's a blessing. There's nothing else like it. I'm grateful. Sometimes I could probably internalize it a little bit more, but I'm grateful. Yeah.
When did you first know, Stacy? Because, I mean, again, I've been following you for a while, and you have others, of course, who've been a part of your tribe for a while. When did you first know that you had something that you wanted to share?
Ooh, it's interesting because as your following grows, people say oh my God, you just came out of nowhere. And you're like, well, not really. I've kind of been talking about the same thing for a long time. It's just more people listen.
Yes.
So I moved to Los Angeles in 2014, and I knew the mindset that I came here with. I knew that it was about the work and that I wasn't going to go home. I'm from Houston, which I love, but I just didn't want to go back career-wise. And so I knew that I had to be as specific as I could and constantly push forward when I was here. And so that was always what I was talking about when I had 5,000 followers or 3,000 or whatever. I was like, guys, this is hard, this is interesting, whatever. I'm the same way now. And I think so it's always been in me, but I've having a platform and being grateful for people who are like, I want to be part of your journey, I want to learn from you. And honestly, those people teach me as well, same as you. I mean, I'm even seeing the setup, and I'm like, wow, we're all doing it. This is how we feed each other. And so I've always had that in me, but it's just been how I've decided to put it out. And, it's been the brunches and having, when you get help around you, you can start putting out your message in a more, how do I say, in a more grand way, where more people can hear it and it reaches more people.
Sure. Yeah. So let's talk about the growth then, because as you said, you didn't just come out of nowhere. You have been putting in the work. When you start getting those messages from people, not only around the country, but around the world, what was that experience like to know that all of that hard work was paying off?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal. It feels so crazy because some people have only seen a year, some people have seen 2 years. You know what it is, and I still have so much more work to do and so much more growth, but and when you see how it manifests, you just feel very this is worth it. This was worth it, and you continue to go and say this is worth it. You have the example now to know that you put in this amount of work, and it's you can't necessarily time it. You can't plan it. That's something that is very hard for me. I love to plan. I like to be ahead, and sometimes it's just not the case. You have to continue to go with the flow, and as those things are happening, you're like, okay, it's paying off though. It's worth it. And
Right.
and it also depends on what you feel like paying off looks like. Is it, a huge job, or is it just one person saying you inspired me? I mean, it can be either, and it
Right.
depends on the person. But for me, it's been both, and at different times. And it is a big deal when somebody says, like, one person can say, like, I really need you to do this. I had a great time last time, and I really need you to do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh my God, it's one person, but you'll like throw your whole like schedule off to make that happen. So that's
Right.
it's kind of nuts, but that's what it's been like.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues.
And we know it will be, right? I mean, so I want to talk about comfort level, because part of your moniker is, and even on social media, you have the quote, fight for your fairy tale. I think to be able to do that, you have to be comfortable with who you are.
Sure.
And know where you want to go, and know what that thing is for you. How have you been able to stay so comfortable, Stacy, in your own skin? Because, I mean, there are people, you're in an industry
Yeah.
where, people will try to make you who they want you to be. How have you been able to be so comfortable being Stacy Ike?
Yeah. Okay, well, I think at the base level, parents and upbringing and family and friends, like that's the basic level. It's just who's in your life, who's pouring into you, and how do they help your growth. And so just being myself, honestly, isn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be out here, because I know I came with my morals and I still have them. I came with my integrity and I still have it. I came with what I wanted and I still want to go after just that. Like, this city can be and as much as every city right now, because we're given so much information. So it really doesn't matter if you live in LA, New York, Boston, Seattle. We have so much access, and that can be very distracting.
Sure.
And so that is something that's hard and that I have to deal with. But the base level is like my faith, my family, my friends, and those things have never left and never wavered, thank God. So I'm grateful that helps me stay grounded. But in regards to just staying like on another level, the journey can be so uncomfortable.
Sure.
So that's the hardest part that I've been having to really like endure and learn. And I try to be as transparent as I can about it. It's so difficult. Some of the parts of the journey are hard, and you don't know how you are in the hard times until it happens.
Right.
You also don't know how you are at the awesome times until they
Sure.
happen, and you don't know how much you could change. And so I haven't I've just noticed different versions of myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, so in this in this moment I get a little nervous or afraid or scared, and in this moment I'm really confident, really ready and excited, and just having to constantly like check myself and check my meter of like just pacing and grace as much as I can, and trying to keep like as much level-headed. It's a lot more difficult for me than I thought, because some days I'm like, okay, and then other days I'm like, okay. It's like, it's insane, and
Right.
that's how life is, and that's how we all, we live through that in different ways, and it comes out in us in different ways. But I think the biggest thing is just, faith, family, and friends have definitely kept me at the base level the most grounded, because all this other stuff like doesn't actually really matter. It really doesn't. And once I started learning that, I'm like, it doesn't really matter. It more matters like, what am I doing with my gift?
Right.
And how does that affect people? That's the biggest thing that I care about. Other than that, it's like the other stuff just kind of makes you crazy. It makes you think that it's really, really important, but sometimes it's really not.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's a great reminder for all of our viewers out there. For those who are just tuning in, and I should say even those joining us through our podcast as well, you're listening to Cyrus Webb Presents. You guys are also watching Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm here today with Stacy Ike. I know you know who she is already, so she doesn't really need an introduction, but she's been able to fight for her own fairy tale. I keep going back to that because I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
But also being able to show all of us what's possible through the work that she does. You mentioned faith, family, and friends. I want to talk about another F word, and that's fear. Because for our audience out there, a lot of them might be saying, you know what, I've always said I wanted to do X, Y, or Z, but I've been afraid to do it. Maybe because of what someone told them they couldn't do, or the limitations they put on themselves. How have you not allowed, as your platform has grown, how have you not allowed fear to stop you?
Well, I can't lie and say I have, though, because I think there are definitely days that fear was very crippling, or can be so crippling. And it's just like, you have to feel through everything you're going through. You have to, the only way to get, around something or to get through something is actually going through it.
Sure.
And so, or to rise above something. So sometimes I have to feel through my fear. Like I literally have to push through that and still experience it. you can't allow it to stop you, but you can't say that it won't happen. Like that's something I'm like, I used to think I was bulletproof and like, oh man, nothing can stop me, and that's not really true.
Yeah.
And now that I know that that's not true, as human as we all are, just knowing that this is happening, this is present, and I have to feel my way through this. Like I cannot ignore, okay, I'm scared right now. And I'm a very conversational person. I have to talk through the kind of things I'm going through. And so I talk a lot, and I get people in my life who can listen and who are supportive and who care. And, you know, like my dad is probably one of my favorite people to talk to about my fear sometimes, because he lives in the fairy tale. He's the 5-year fairy tale guy.
Right.
And I think he's, you know, both of my parents, but I definitely like, sometimes I'll talk to my dad about like, this is really freaking me out. This is scaring me. What should I do? How do I move past this? And him and my mom both have incredible advice of just like, you gotta feel your way through it. You can't ignore it. Once you get through it, you gotta move. Yeah. You can't allow it to cripple you, but you can feel through it. It's okay. It's normal. It happens. It's how sometimes we know that we're on the right track. Fear sometimes allows us to remember that, ooh, this is scary. This is new. So that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you were talking just now, Stacy, I thought about this because you have accomplished so much already.
Thank you.
And you talk about the past few years for you, you know, moving out here and what you've been able to do. You know, one thing I struggle with, and I've shared this with my viewers in Mississippi and even online through social media, is that it's hard sometimes to stay in the moment because you're so focused on where you want to go.
Yeah.
How do you balance it? How do you balance being able to be present as you are, and you're able to share great, you know, tips online and being able to kind of be in the moment with your, you know, with your audience, and then still, of course, be focused on where Stacy wants to go?
Well, it's a difficult thing, my dears. Because I'm actually like, I don't know, I'm still learning, honestly, because I just got a text message yesterday from my manager that said stay in the present. And it was really annoying because I'm like, I am trying. I'm not trying to. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to enjoy the present to get to their future, and saluting the past for getting you here. Like that, there's a process we all want to go to, and sometimes it's really difficult. I've been exposed to, because I know where I want to go, and I know a lot of us do. We know where we want to go. Sometimes it's hard to get that out of our minds. Sure. You know, and you never want to get it out of your mind. Like some people are very good at establishing, okay, this is where we need to go. Now let's take the steps. And for me, some days I'm not like that. Some days I'm like, this is where I want to go, and I'd kind of like to go there tomorrow, and I really think we should just get this done. And like, what the heck? Why are we waiting? Right. That's, you know, sometimes that could be my MO, and I'm working on the balance of enjoying. For me, like when I'm in the present, though, I'm not work mode present. I'm just Stacy present, which is like TV and long conversations with friends back home, or like shopping, or that's the most time that I can stay the most present when I'm not thinking about work. Sure. When it's work, it's a little more difficult for me, which I really am trying to make sure, like, what's the balance here? But when I'm like, okay, I don't actually want to deal with any of the career stuff presently, oh my God, let's go like get food, or let's go, you know what I mean? Like just having that balance. I have, you know, such a work life that my personal life, I don't like, to me, personal life is work, which I realize, like, you know, that's what we all, it's hard workers. We think it's the same, and it's not. Right. Yeah. And you do have to have a personal life. You do have to separate. And it just means like spending time outside of your computer, spending time outside of your work, your job, whatever that is for you. Going out to eat, trying new restaurants, driving with no GPS, like stuff like that. I'm like, ooh, this is present for me. And so I try to do that as much as I can. I'm really working on implementing that. I don't know if there's a time, I don't know if it's like weekly or daily. I don't know. I don't think I want to put a time on it. I just want to say, like, as much as you remember, stay present, come back to it. And then it's okay to think about the future and dream about the future, because that's the fighting that we're all doing. So I never want to say like, oh my God, just stay present all the time, because you do want to plan. Right, exactly. That is a part of it, but just knowing that the future is going to be there, and you can't write it. You're not writing it. God's writing it. So really, you have to stay present and learn the lessons that are happening in front of you, so that you can actually be prepared for the future. Once you stay and understand that, I think that helps a lot more.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you're hearing it from someone who definitely knows firsthand. Again, everyone, Stacy Ike has been our guest. Stacy, thank you so much for this time. Really appreciate it. We've been talking to Stacy not only about the journey to where she is today. Of course, we know there's more to come. So, Stacy, let our viewers know, how can they stay connected with you?
Oh, well, I am a huge social butterfly. You guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace. I'm pretty social and I like to engage, so make sure you come hit me up there, as well as StacyIke.com, which is where all of my details and where I try to keep updates are happening, as well as, the big screen soon, hopefully. And Fight for Fairy Tale is coming out with a new collection, so check out for that, which will also be on StacyIke.com. So I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
So make sure y'all stay connected with her. We'll link all that below for those who are joining us through our web series as well. Stacy, really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we thank you, our viewers and our listeners, for tuning into this segment of Cyrus Webb Presents.
They lie. It's time to shine, time to shine.